Hello, everyone. In the first lecture, we got a brief introduction about the topic. Then we studied the body-mind relationship. Then we studied about two main topics, that is, effect of body conditions on mental health and effect of mental conditions on bodily functions. And lastly, we have discussed about the correlation between brain and behavior. And today, in this lecture, we will continue the chapter from the three main aspects of body functions. So, let's get started. So first of all, the receptors or the sense organs. Receptors play a fundamental role in the process of perceiving and interpreting sensory information. Sensation refers to the process by which our sensory receptors detect and respond to external stimuli, translating them into neural signals that the brain can interpret. Here are some key aspects of receptors in the psychology of sensation. Number 1, transduction. Receptors transduce or convert sensory stimuli into neural impulses. For example, photoreceptors in the eyes transduce light stimuli into electrical signals that the brain interprets as vision. Number 2, sensory modalities. Different types of receptors are specialized for specific sensory modalities, such as vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. Each modality relies on distinct receptors that respond to specific types of stimuli. Number 3, thresholds. Receptors have threshold levels, meaning they respond to stimuli only when they reach a certain intensity. The minimum amount of stimulus required to activate a receptor is called the absolute threshold. Number 4, perception and interpretation. Receptors contribute to the formation of perceptions. The brain interprets neural signals from receptors to create our subjective experiences of the world, leading to sensations like color, taste, or sound. For convenience, we differentiate the receptors into two main categories, that is, external receptor and internal receptors. External receptors, also known as exteroceptors, are sensory receptors located on or near the body's surface. They respond to stimuli from the external environment, providing information about the world around us. Under the external stimuli, we will talk about the sensory organs and the external receptors. The sensory organs. Number 1, eyes. The eyes contain photoreceptor cells, that is, rods and cones, situated in the retina at the back of the eye. Rods are sensitive to low light and contribute to peripheral vision, while cones enable color vision and visual acuity in bright light. Number 2, ears. The ear comprises the outer ear, middle ear, and inner ear, housing structures, like the cochlea for hearing, and semicircular canals for balance. Sound waves are converted into electrical signals in the cochlea, and the semicircular canals detect changes in head position for balance. Number 3, tongue. Taste buds, located on papillae, are scattered on the tongue's surface. Taste buds contain receptors that respond to sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami flavors. Number 4, nose. The olfactory epithelium, located in the nasal cavity, contains olfactory receptors. Olfactory receptors detect airborne molecules, translating smells into neural signals. Number 5, skin. Various types of receptors, including mechanoreceptors, thermoreceptors, and nociceptors, are distributed in the skin. Receptors in the skin respond to touch, pressure, temperature, and pain stimuli. Number 6, mouth. Various receptors are present in the oral cavity, including thermoreceptors and mechanoreceptors. Receptors respond to temperature, touch, and pressure, contributing to the overall sensory experience of food. Number 7, muscles, joints, and tendons. Proprioceptors, including muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs, are located in muscles, joints, and tendons. Proprioceptors provide information about body position, movement, and muscle tension. Now let's talk about the external receptors. Number 1, photoreceptors, found in the eyes. Photoreceptors respond to light stimuli, allowing us to perceive visual information and the environment. Number 2, mechanoreceptors, located in the skin and hair follicles. Mechanoreceptors respond to mechanical stimuli, such as pressure, touch, and vibration, contributing to our sense of touch. Number 3, thermoreceptors, scattered throughout the skin. Thermoreceptors detect changes in temperature, allowing us to sense hot and cold. Number 4, nociceptors. Nociceptors are pain receptors, found in various tissues. They respond to noxious stimuli, signaling the presence of potential harm or damage. Number 5, chemoreceptors. Located in the taste buds and olfactory epithelium, chemoreceptors respond to chemical stimuli, enabling us to perceive tastes and odors. Now let's talk about the internal receptors. Internal receptors, also known as interoceptors, are sensory receptors, located within the body. They respond to stimuli arising from internal organs and tissues, contributing to the regulation of physiological processes. Examples of internal receptors include, number 1, baroreceptors, found in blood vessels and the heart. Baroreceptors monitor blood pressure and contribute to the regulation of cardiovascular function. Number 2, proprioceptors, located in muscles, tendons, and joints. Proprioceptors provide information about body position, movement, and spatial orientation. Number 3, visceral receptors, scattered within internal organs. Visceral receptors monitor conditions, such as stretch, pressure, and chemical changes within the organs. Number 4, chemoreceptors in blood, found in the carotid and aortic bodies. These chemoreceptors monitor blood composition, detecting changes in oxygen, carbon dioxide, and pH levels. Number 5, hormonal receptors. Cells throughout the body possess receptors for hormones, facilitating communication between the endocrine system and target tissues. Both external and internal receptors contribute to our ability to sense and respond to the environment and maintain internal homeostasis. They play crucial roles in processes such as perception, motor control, and the regulation of bodily functions. Now let's talk about the effectors, or the muscles and glands. Effectors are components of the body's response system that execute motor commands generated by the nervous system, translating perceptions into behavior. Muscles and glands serve as effectors in this process, orchestrating physical actions and physiological responses. Here's how they work to manifest perception as behavior. First, let's talk about muscles as effectors. There are mainly 3 types of muscles are present in our body. Those are smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and skeletal muscle. Let's talk about each of them. Number 1, smooth muscle. Structure. Smooth muscle is non-striated, and the organized sarcomere structure, seen in skeletal muscle. It has a spindle-shaped appearance. Location. Found in the walls of internal organs, blood vessels, and structures like the digestive tract, bronchi, and uterus. Responsible for involuntary movements such as peristalsis in the digestive system and the constriction and dilation of blood vessels. Number 2, cardiac muscle. Structure. Cardiac muscle is striated like skeletal muscle, but has a branched structure with intercalated discs. Location. Exclusive to the heart, forming the myocardium. Function. Pumps blood throughout the circulatory system, providing the force necessary for blood circulation. Contractions. Exhibits rhythmic contractions and operates as a syncytium, allowing the heart to function as a coordinated pump. Number 3, skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is striated with a well-organized sarcomere structure. It is multinucleated with long cylindrical fibers. It is attached to bones by tendons, comprising the muscles, responsible for voluntary movements. It facilitates body movements, maintains posture, and produces force. Skeletal muscles also play a role in activities like speech and facial expressions. Contractions are rapid and powerful, providing the force needed for various physical activities. And now, here is some of the physiological aspects of involvement of muscle. Number 1, motor commands. When the nervous system receives sensory input and processes it into a perception, motor commands are generated to initiate a behavioral response. Number 2, muscle contraction. Motor commands are transmitted to muscles through motor neurons. Muscles contract in response to these signals, producing movement or maintaining a particular posture. Number 3, voluntary and involuntary actions. Skeletal muscles under voluntary control execute intentional movements, like reaching for an object. Smooth muscles, involuntary, and cardiac muscles also respond to motor commands, regulating activities such as digestion and heartbeat.